Imagine being born without hands or feet. Before you take another step, before you pick up a cup of coffee, before you send a message on your phone, pause for a moment and imagine what life would be like if you could do none of those things. No arms, no legs, no ability to run, to climb, to shake someone's hand, or even to hug someone in the way most people do. For most of us, such a reality is almost impossible to comprehend. Yet for one remarkable man, this was not a thought experiment. It was his life. His name is Nick Vujicic. Today, millions of people around the world know him as an inspirational speaker, best-selling author, evangelist, husband, father, and founder of Nick V Ministries. They see a confident man standing before massive crowds, smiling, laughing, and encouraging others to never give up. But behind that smile lies a journey marked by pain, rejection, loneliness, and battles that nearly destroyed him. This is the story of how a boy born with seemingly impossible limitations transformed his greatest challenges into his greatest strengths and became one of the most recognized motivational figures in the world. On December 4th, 1982, in Melbourne, Australia, a baby boy entered the world. His parents were eagerly waiting to meet their son. Like most parents, they imagined holding him, watching him grow, and dreaming about his future. But moments after his birth, the delivery room fell silent. Doctors and nurses were stunned. The newborn had been born with a rare condition known as tetra-amelia syndrome, a disorder characterized by the absence of all four limbs. The baby had no arms, he had no legs, only a small foot-like appendage with 2 toes protruded from his left side. His parents were devastated. No medical tests had predicted this condition. No one had expected it. The shock was overwhelming. Questions filled the room. How would he survive? How would he go to school? Would he ever be independent? Would he have any quality of life? For a time there were no answers, only uncertainty. His parents loved him deeply, but they were human. They struggled to understand why this had happened. They worried about what kind of future awaited their son. The child they named Nicholas James Vujicic had entered a world that would constantly remind him of everything he lacked, yet no one could see what he would eventually become. As Nick grew older, the reality of his condition became impossible to ignore. Children naturally noticed differences, and Nick was very different. Everywhere he went, people stared. Some looked away awkwardly, others asked questions, some simply couldn't hide their shock. School became one of the hardest environments he would ever face. Children can be kind, but they can also be cruel. Nick was bullied, mocked, excluded, laughed at. While other children played sports, climbed playground equipment, and ran around freely, Nick watched from the sidelines. Every day served as a reminder that he wasn't like everyone else. He often wondered why. Why was he born this way? Why did other children have arms and legs while he did not? Why had life dealt him such a difficult hand? Those questions followed him everywhere, and over time they grew heavier. Despite his parents' encouragement, Nick struggled to see a future for himself. He feared that he would never have a career, never get married, never have children, never experience the life he saw others enjoying. The loneliness became a constant companion, and as the years passed, that loneliness slowly transformed into despair. Many people assume that physical challenges are the hardest obstacles Nick ever faced. But according to Nick himself, the greatest battle took place inside his mind. By the age of 8, he was already wrestling with depression. By 10, those feelings had become overwhelming. He felt trapped, hopeless, broken. Everywhere he looked, he saw limitations. He believed he would never fit in, never belong, never matter. The future seemed empty. One day, the emotional pain became so intense that he contemplated ending his life. He felt like a burden to those around him. He believed his family would be better off without him. For a young boy to carry such thoughts is heartbreaking, but it reveals an important truth. Pain does not discriminate. Success, talent, appearance, wealth, and circumstances do not automatically protect anyone from emotional suffering. Even a child surrounded by love can struggle with hopelessness. Nick reached a point where he could see no reason to continue, yet deep within him, a small spark remained alive, a spark that refused to die, and that spark would eventually change everything. The turning point in Nick's life did not happen overnight. There was no magical moment, no instant transformation. Instead, it came through a gradual shift in perspective. Nick began to realize something profound. Perhaps his value was not determined by what he lacked. Perhaps his worth was not measured by his physical appearance. Perhaps his life could still have meaning. He started focusing on what he could do instead of what he couldn't. That simple change in thinking became revolutionary. Instead of obsessing over missing limbs, he began exploring possibilities. Could he learn to write? Yes. Could he learn to use a computer? Yes. Could he become independent? Yes. Could he make a difference? Maybe. That possibility was enough. His faith also played a significant role during this period. Rather than asking, "Why did this happen to me?" he began asking, "What can I do with the life I've been given?" The question shifted from victimhood to purpose, and purpose has a remarkable ability to transform suffering. Little by little, hope returned. Most people take daily tasks for granted: brushing their teeth, typing on a keyboard, answering a phone, getting dressed. For Nick, every one of those activities required creativity, persistence, and determination. He learned to use the small foot on his left side to accomplish tasks many believed were impossible. He practiced relentlessly. When something didn't work, he adapted. When a challenge seemed overwhelming, he searched for another solution. Again and again. Failure became part of the process, but he refused to quit. Eventually, he learned to type, he learned to write, he learned to use electronic devices, he learned to swim, he learned to become increasingly independent. Each accomplishment may have seemed small to outsiders, but together they represented something extraordinary. Proof that limitations are often more flexible than they appear. Proof that human beings are capable of adapting to circumstances far beyond what they imagine. Proof that determination can achieve what pessimism declares impossible. At 17 years old, Nick experienced another life-changing moment. Someone asked him to speak, not to a stadium, not to thousands of people, just to a small group. Most people would not consider this event significant, but it became the beginning of a global movement. Nick stood before an audience and shared his story. He talked about pain, struggle, loneliness, hope, purpose. To his surprise, people listened. More importantly, they connected. They saw authenticity, they saw courage, they saw someone who had every reason to give up but chose not to. After the speech, people approached him. Some were moved to tears, others shared their own struggles, many thanked him. For the first time, Nick realized that his story carried power. The very thing he had viewed as a curse for most of his life had become a source of inspiration for others. His wounds were helping people heal, his pain was creating hope. And that realization changed everything. What began as a small speaking engagement soon expanded. One invitation became two, two became 10, 10 became hundreds. Nick's message resonated across cultures, languages, and backgrounds. Whether speaking to students, business leaders, prisoners, church congregations, or government officials, the response was remarkably similar. People saw themselves in his story because although most people have arms and legs, Everyone faces challenges, everyone experiences disappointment, everyone encounters moments of doubt, everyone knows what it feels like to struggle. Nick's life became living proof that circumstances do not determine destiny. His popularity grew rapidly. He travelled internationally. He spoke before enormous crowds. His videos spread online. Millions watched. Millions listened. Millions found hope. The boy who once believed he had no future was now helping others believe in theirs.